Are black holes truly just cosmic phenomena governed by physics, or are they veils concealing supernatural gateways that defy the limits of human understanding? For centuries, humanity has gazed into the night sky, drawn irresistibly to the mysteries that shimmer in the vast darkness. Stars, galaxies, comets, and nebulae each has inspired awe, wonder, and scientific inquiry. Yet, among all celestial wonders, none evokes as much fear, fascination, and speculation as the black hole. These invisible monsters, lurking silently in the fabric of space-time, seem both scientifically inevitable and metaphysically terrifying. On one hand, they are the logical consequence of Einstein's equations, predicted by the mathematics of relativity. On the other hand, they invite whispers of gateways, abysses, and cosmic judgment, as if nature itself left a spiritual scar upon the universe. The story of the black hole is one that straddles both the scientific and the mystical, refusing to belong wholly to either. It begins with the earliest human attempts to make sense of gravity, a force invisible yet omnipresent, shaping not only planets and stars but also the very boundaries of imagination. When Isaac Newton formulated his laws of motion and gravity in the late 17th century, he could not have known that his equations hinted at the possibility of dark stars' bodies so massive and dense that light itself could not escape their grip. These early musings by scientists like John Michell and Pierre-Simon Laplace seemed like curiosities, not serious predictions. Yet centuries later, Einstein's general theory of relativity gave them new life, and in doing so, redefined the limits of reality. But what are black holes really? Are they collapsed stars, singularities of infinite density wrapped in mathematical abstraction? Or are they something deeper, portals, prisons, or wombs of creation? Are they evidence that the universe is stranger than we dare to admit? Or are they simply extreme laboratories of physics waiting to be decoded by human intellect? In the chapters that follow, we will not only examine the black hole as a scientific entity, its mathematics, its physics, its observable phenomena, but also as a spiritual archetype, a symbol of annihilation and rebirth, a mirror to humanity's fear of the unknown and our longing for transcendence. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the edge of such an abyss, not metaphorically, but literally, near a stellar mass black hole, 10 times heavier than our sun, yet only a few kilometers across. The light from distant stars bends around it, curving into ghostly halos. Space stretches, time slows, and every instinct screams that this is not a place where human beings are meant to linger. The event horizon stands before you, invisible, yet absolute, the one-way door. Beyond it, no signal, no cry, no prayer can return. Scientists call this the horizon of no return. Mystics might call it the gate of silence, the point where the material world dissolves into the eternal unknown. The scientific perspective insists that what lies beyond is a singularity, a point of infinite curvature in space-time, where the known laws of physics collapse. General relativity predicts it, quantum mechanics resists it, string theory tries to reconcile it, but the equations remain stubborn, teasing with paradoxes. Information swallowed but not destroyed, matter compressed yet unaccounted for, time and space themselves redefined. The spiritual imagination, however, sees something else. To shamans, mystics, and seekers of hidden knowledge, a black hole is a cosmic womb, a vortex, perhaps even a passage to other realms. Its darkness is not mere absence but a veil. What lies behind may not be destruction but transformation. Throughout history, humanity has associated darkness with mystery, danger, and the divine. The Egyptian Duat, the Mayan Xibalba, the Buddhist Bardo all describe liminal spaces where souls are tested, judged, or transformed. Could black holes be the physical manifestation of this archetype? Could the universe itself encode spiritual truths within its most violent and incomprehensible structures? Some might dismiss such notions as fanciful, unscientific. Yet it is worth remembering that many things once considered mystical atoms, invisible forces, curved space are now mainstream science. The line between mystery and knowledge is always moving. and black holes stand at that shifting frontier. For as long as human beings have existed, we have feared the dark. In ancient caves lit only by fire, the unknown lurked in the shadows, waiting with claws and fangs. Millennia later, despite the triumph of science, the darkness of the cosmos still awakens something primal within us. Yet among all the mysteries scattered across the heavens, none is darker, none is more terrifying, none is more fascinating than the black hole. It is at once the most concrete prediction of modern physics and the most metaphysical abyss that human imagination has ever contemplated. In the black hole, matter and spirit, science and myth, reality and symbol converge. To look into it is to confront not only the outer universe, but also the inner darkness of the human mind. When Newton first formulated his laws of motion and universal gravitation in the late 17th century, he gave humanity a tool to measure the heavens. Planets circling the sun, apples falling from trees, comets streaking across the sky all obeyed the same simple law. Yet hidden in his equations was a suggestion so radical that even Newton himself could scarcely have believed it. If a body were massive enough, its gravity might prevent even light from escaping. The English natural philosopher John Michell, writing in 1784, spoke of dark stars whose escape velocity exceeded the speed of light. Pierre-Simon Laplace echoed this idea in France, hinting that the cosmos might contain invisible giants. These speculations, largely ignored at the time, were the faint whispers of what we now know as black holes. But the real revolution began with Albert Einstein. In 1915, his general theory of relativity redefined gravity, not as a force, but as the curvature of space and time itself. Mass told space-time how to curve, and space-time told mass how to move. It was a beautiful, almost mystical vision where geometry and destiny intertwined. Yet, within a year, Karl Schwarzschild, solving Einstein's equations from the trenches of World War I, stumbled upon a solution so extreme that it seemed absurd, a point of infinite density surrounded by an event horizon beyond which nothing could escape. Einstein himself doubted such objects could exist in nature. For decades, many physicists dismissed them as mathematical curiosities. And yet, like shadows creeping ever closer, the black holes refused to be ignored. By the mid-20th century, as astrophysicists studied dying stars, they realized that black holes were not only possible, but inevitable. When a massive star exhausted its nuclear fuel, no pressure remained to resist gravity's inward pull. The core collapsed, crushing atoms, neutrons, even quarks, until nothing remained but a singularity. Around it, space-time folded into a one-way trap, the event horizon. From this point onward, science could only peer at the edges. What lay inside was hidden from observation, cloaked forever in silence. Yet even as telescopes and equations confirmed their existence, black holes became more than astrophysical objects. They entered culture, philosophy, and even spirituality. For how could one not imagine, staring at an abyss that swallows light, that it might also swallow souls? How could one not wonder if, on the other side of such a gate, another universe might bloom? Religious traditions across the world had long envisioned cosmic abysses. The Greeks spoke of Tartarus, the deepest pit where even gods feared to tread. The Norse described Ginnungagap, the yawning void from which creation sprang. In Hindu cosmology, time itself is cyclical, collapsing into darkness before emerging anew. When modern scientists described the singularity, mystics nodded knowingly. Was this not what sages had always said? That creation and destruction are but two faces of the same mystery? To stand at the threshold of a black hole is to stand at the boundary of knowledge. Physics tells us that time slows near its horizon. A distant observer watching a traveler fall into a black hole would never see them cross the boundary. They would appear frozen, fading, stretched by gravity's pull. To the traveler, however, the plunge would be swift, irresistible, perhaps instantaneous. What lies beyond, no observer can return to describe. This paradox unsettles not only physicists but philosophers. What does it mean to enter a place that erases testimony? What kind of truth resides in silence? Stephen Hawking, in the 1000 970 seconds, shocked the scientific world by showing that black holes were not perfectly black. Quantum fluctuations at the horizon allowed them to emit faint radiation now called Hawking radiation and eventually evaporate. This discovery blurred the line between physics and metaphysics even further. If black holes can vanish, what happens to the information of all that they swallowed? Physics insists that information cannot be destroyed, yet black holes seem to mock this law. Where does the record of the universe go when it falls into darkness? Into another dimension? Into God's ledger? Or into nothingness at all? Each answer carries both scientific and spiritual weight. Beyond the equations, black holes haunt our imagination. Writers describe them as gateways to parallel universes, time machines, or prisons of demons. Poets see in them metaphors for despair, longing, and the unknown. In psychological terms, they echo the unconscious, that hidden reservoir of memory, trauma, and desire that swallows conscious thought. Just as the event horizon hides the singularity, so too does the human mind conceal its deepest truths. To confront the black hole is to confront the self. The duality of black holes as scientific realities and spiritual archetypes has made them symbols of our age. In the 20th century, we split the atom, reached the moon, decoded DNA, and yet we also unleashed nuclear fire and built weapons that could annihilate humanity. Black holes embody this same ambivalence. They are the engines of cosmic order shaping galaxies, yet they are also destroyers swallowing suns. They remind us that creation and destruction are inseparable. In their darkness, we glimpse both terror and transcendence. And so the question remains, are black holes simply collapsed stars, or are they cosmic thresholds? Are they ends, beginnings, or both? If science can one day explain them fully, will the mystery vanish, or will it deepen into something even stranger? Perhaps black holes are the universe's way of reminding us that not everything can be reduced to equations, that some truths must be felt, intuited, even feared. If we dare to linger at the edge of a black hole, it is not only the laws of physics that confront us, but also the fragility of human perception. Imagine approaching Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy, with its 4 million solar masses compressed into a region smaller than our solar system. For centuries, mystics spoke of a cosmic center, the navel of the universe from which all creation radiated. Today, astronomers peer into the galactic core and find not a radiant source of light, but a consuming shadow. How uncanny that the heart of our galaxy is marked by absence rather than presence, by darkness rather than illumination. And yet, perhaps absence itself is a kind of presence, the presence of mystery, of limits, of a reality beyond our control. When the Event Horizon Telescope released the first image of a black hole in 2019, a blurry orange ring surrounding a dark center, it was hailed as a triumph of science. But beyond the headlines and applause, many who gazed upon that shadow felt something more profound: awe, dread, even reverence. For the image was not simply data, it was an icon, a symbol, almost religious in its power. The glowing ring could have been a halo, the darkness, a divine void. Across cultures, humanity has long worshipped both light and darkness. To Buddhists, emptiness, shunyata, is not negation, but fullness, the space in which all things arise. To Christian mystics, the cloud of unknowing is the path to God. And so, when modern telescopes reveal the shadow of a black hole, they touch not only the intellect, but the soul. Yet, let us not forget the terror hidden in that beauty. Black holes are destroyers. A star wandering too close is torn apart, its gas stretched into long streams and heated until it glows brighter than entire galaxies. Astronomers call this a tidal disruption event. To ancient eyes, it might have looked like a god consuming a sacrifice or a dragon devouring the Sunday. Even now, our language falters before such violence. We call them cosmic monsters, gravitational beasts, as if myth must step in where science alone cannot suffice. And perhaps it must, for to witness such a feast is to feel both horror and sacred awe. But destruction is never the whole story. Paradoxically, black holes may also be creators. The jets that blast from their poles, powered by magnetic fields near the event horizon, can stretch for thousands of light years, seeding galaxies with energy and matter. Without black holes, the universe might lack the structure we know today. In their fury, they sculpt order. In their silence, they shape creation. Here again we find the paradox of the sacred, that what seems destructive may also be generative, that death and birth are inseparably entwined. Philosophers have long wrestled with this paradox. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of eternal recurrence, where destruction leads to renewal. Hindu cosmology envisions Shiva as both destroyer and creator, dancing the cosmos into cycles of birth and dissolution. Is it mere coincidence that physics now reveals black holes to play this very role? Or is it that our myths anticipated truths that science would later uncover? Perhaps the human imagination, reaching for symbols, intuited realities beyond its time. Consider the singularity itself. To physicists, it is a point where density becomes infinite and the laws of space-time break down. But to mystics, infinity has always been the language of the divine. To stand before the singularity is to confront eternity, to see where mathematics collapses and silence reigns. Is this not akin to the apophatic theology of the mystics, who insist that God is beyond words, beyond concepts, beyond even being the singularity too resists language? It is the unspeakable heart of the cosmos. And yet, the singularity may not be the end. Some theories suggest that inside a black hole lies not destruction, but passage. Wormholes, bridges through space-time might lurk within connecting distant corners of the universe or even parallel universes. If so, then black holes are not graves but doorways. Could the souls of myths passing through darkness into other realms find their scientific counterpart here? Of course, the equations are uncertain, the evidence lacking. But the very possibility fires the imagination. Science dreams, as myth once did, of worlds beyond. This is why black holes occupy such a unique space in human thought. They are real, observed, measured, photographed, and yet they're also uncanny, dreamlike, symbolic. They invite us to think not only about physics but about meaning. When we ask what lies beyond the event horizon, we are also asking what lies beyond death, beyond consciousness, beyond the limits of knowing. In the black hole, science and spirituality converge because both are pressed against their boundaries. Both must confess ignorance. Both must speak in paradox and metaphor. Let us return, then, to the traveler falling into a black hole. From the outside, we watch them approach the horizon, slow, fade, never quite cross. From their perspective, they plunge inward swiftly, unstoppably. To us, they are eternal. To them, the end is near. Two realities, equally true, irreconcilable. What does this say about truth itself? Is reality singular or is it perspectival? Can two contradictory stories both be valid? The black hole suggests that that truth is layered, relative, perhaps infinite. Such lessons extend beyond astrophysics. They touch our daily lives, our moral struggles, our spiritual journeys. We too encounter horizons of no return, moments when choices cannot be undone, when paths once taken cannot be retraced. We too confront singularities, crises that break our familiar laws, moments when the old self collapses and a new one must emerge. And we too wonder what lies beyond, in death, in mystery, in the silence that swallows words. The black hole is not only out there, it is within us. If we lean deeper into the paradox of black holes, we find that they force us to reconsider the very foundations of reality. Space and time, once thought of as infinite and absolute, become malleable, fragile, subject to collapse. The event horizon is not merely a boundary in space, it is a boundary of knowledge. For the physicist, it represents the point beyond which equations lose their predictive power. For the mystic, it mirrors the veil between life and death, the visible and the invisible. Both confront the same silence, the same impenetrable darkness. Stephen Hawking once remarked that black holes ain't so black after all because of the radiation they emit. This insight destabilized the earlier vision of black holes as eternal prisons. Instead, it suggested they could eventually vanish, returning their substance to the universe. But here lies the infamous information paradox. What happens to the information carried by all the matter and energy swallowed during the black hole's lifetime? If it is truly lost, then one of the fundamental principles of physics, that information is conserved, must be broken. If it is not lost, then where and how is it preserved? Scientists debate fiercely, proposing holographic principles, quantum entanglement, or exotic geometries. Mystics, meanwhile, see in this debate echoes of age-old questions. Where do souls go after death? Is memory eternal? Can anything truly be erased? The convergence is uncanny. Physics and theology alike wrestle with the possibility of ultimate forgetting. In 1974, Hawking's discovery of radiation transformed black holes from eternal tombs into mortal entities. Over unimaginable spans of time, they evaporate. A stellar black hole might take 10 to the power of 67 years to dissolve. A supermassive one, even longer. The cosmos itself may be cold and dark before they wink out. Yet even so, they are not eternal. The thought unsettles us. We often imagine destruction as final. But what if even destruction itself decays? What if nothing, neither stars, nor black holes, nor even the memory of the universe lasts forever? The mystic might say all things are impermanent. The physicist might call it entropy. Different languages, same truth. But perhaps black holes are not simply endpoints. Consider the idea that our entire universe might have been born from one. Some cosmologists propose that what we call the Big Bang could itself have been the interior of a black hole in another universe. If true, then every black hole might give birth to a cosmos of its own, sealed from its parent by the event horizon. This theory transforms black holes from destroyers into creators of universes. Each collapse may be a genesis. Here, science and spirituality meet again. For myths across cultures have long spoken of worlds emerging from darkness, of creation rising from void. The Mayans described Xibalba, a dark underworld that also held the seeds of rebirth. In Hindu thought, Brahman breathes out universes and breathes them back in. The Kabbalists spoke of divine sparks hidden in shattered vessels. In each case, creation is not separate from destruction but woven through it. The black hole too may embody this rhythm. Collapse and creation, silence and song, darkness and light. Even the imagery of black holes resonates with spiritual symbolism. The event horizon, a circle of no return, recalls the mandalas of Buddhism and Hinduism, sacred circles representing wholeness, eternity, the cycle of life and death. The singularity hidden at the center resembles the ineffable point of unity described by mystics, the source from which all emanates and to which all returns. The accretion disk, glowing with matter spiraling inward, mirrors the halo of fire in countless religious icons, a corona of energy surrounding the unknowable. When scientists render simulations of black holes, the results often look like art-burning eyes, radiant portals, cosmic mandalas. In their very form, they whisper of something more than physics. And yet, we must be cautious. The temptation to mythologize can obscure the rigor of science. Black holes are not magical gates until evidence proves them so. They are not divine symbols except in our interpretation, but interpretation is not trivial. The human mind is wired for meaning, and black holes, by their very nature, demand meaning. They are voids that we cannot help but fill with stories, theories, fears, and hopes. Perhaps this is not a weakness but a strength. For in weaving myths around black holes, we expand the horizon of our imagination, and imagination in turn feeds discovery. Einstein's theories were born not from data alone, but from thought experiments, imaginary journeys, riding beams of light, falling in elevators, bending across stars. To imagine a black hole as a gate may one day lead us to discover what lies within. Consider too the psychological resonance of black holes. Carl Jung wrote of the shadow, the dark hidden part of the psyche that we repress or ignore. Like the cosmic black hole, the psychological shadow swallows what we cannot face, yet within it lie energies and truths essential to wholeness. To deny it is to remain fragmented, to confront it is to be transformed. Black holes then become metaphors for inner journeys. The event horizon is the threshold of self-confrontation. The singularity is the unspoken truth at the heart of being. Falling into a black hole may mirror the descent into the unconscious, terrifying yet necessary for renewal. This is why artists, poets, and filmmakers so often turn to black holes. They represent not only astrophysical phenomena but existential conditions. Christopher Nolan's Interstellar portrayed a voyage through a black hole as both scientific and emotional, a journey of love, sacrifice, and transcendence. Countless novels and poems speak of black holes as metaphors for grief, depression, or longing. In music, the black hole often stands for despair, but also for mystery, a silence that swallows sound and sense alike. When we use black holes as symbols, we are not misusing science. We are acknowledging that science and symbolism are two sides of the same human need to make sense of the abyss. So we return to the traveler falling in. Imagine them now crossing the horizon. For them, time still flows, though distorted. They plunge inward, seeing light from the universe behind them compressed into a blazing arc. Ahead, the singularity looms. What they feel is beyond description. Is it annihilation or is it transformation? The answer depends on perspective. For the outside observer, they are lost forever. For themselves, they are still on a journey. Perhaps that is the ultimate lesson of black holes, that truth depends on where you stand, that reality itself is relative. And if so, then black holes are not only objects of physics, but teachers of wisdom. If we step back and view the black hole not just as an astrophysical object, but as a mirror for human questions, we begin to see why it haunts both science and spirit. For the black hole does not merely swallow light, it swallows certainty. Every culture has longed for certainty about death, about destiny, about what lies beyond. Yet, here is a cosmic structure that denies certainty at its core. We cannot see inside. We cannot retrieve what goes beyond. All we have are edges, hints, paradoxes. It is as if the universe itself built a monument to ignorance, a cathedral of mystery declaring, "Here, knowledge ends." And yet, humanity has never been content with such boundaries. We push, probe, imagine, and speculate. Some physicists believe black holes may encode information on their horizons, like cosmic holograms. If true, then reality itself may be holographic, our universe a projection of deeper truths. Such a notion echoes ancient mystical traditions. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes declared, "As above, so below." Buddhist and Hindu thought often describe the world as Maya, an illusion, a play of appearances, concealing deeper unity. In modern physics, we hear whispers of the same, that what we call reality may be the shadow of higher dimensions projected onto our limited perception. Black holes, with their mysterious surfaces and hidden depths, become metaphors for existence itself. The event horizon, then, is more than an astrophysical boundary. It is an allegory for every threshold in human life. Birth, death, transformation, transcendence. Crossing it requires surrender, for nothing returns unchanged. In myth, heroes often descend into underworlds, Orpheus seeking Eurydice, Inanna journeying to the realm of Ereshkigal, Dante guided by Virgil. Each descent is perilous, but each offers wisdom, renewal, or redemption. In the black hole, we see the cosmic underworld. Perhaps the soul, like the traveler, must plunge through darkness to find new light. Perhaps black holes are not only cosmic phenomena, but mythic stages written into the universe itself. Yet black holes also challenge our ethics. Consider the idea that civilizations far more advanced than ours might use black holes as energy sources. Physicist Roger Penrose proposed that by dropping matter into a rotating black hole, one could extract energy. Others suggest that advanced beings might harness Hawking radiation for power. If so, then black holes are not only symbols of mystery, but tools of potential mastery. This raises questions. If humanity one day tames black holes, what responsibilities will we bear? Will we treat them as mere machines, or will we approach them with reverence as cosmic temples? The boundary between technology and theology grows thin when the scale is cosmic. Still, for all our speculation, we must face the humbling truth. Black holes are places we cannot yet reach. They remain distant, dangerous, forbidding. This distance may itself be instructive. Not every mystery is meant to be solved immediately. Some must be lived with, contemplated, allowed to reshape our imagination. Black holes, like death itself, remind us that knowledge has limits, that humility is necessary, that mystery has its own power. In a world obsessed with certainty, they stand as monuments to the unknown. And the unknown, far from being empty, is fertile. Out of mystery comes creativity. Out of questions come discoveries. Out of silence comes song. Perhaps this is why black holes fascinate not only scientists, but poets, not only astronomers, but mystics. They belong to all who wonder. Consider again the singularity. Some scientists argue it does not truly exist, that quantum gravity will eventually smooth it out. Others insist it remains the ultimate point of collapse. Either way, its symbolic power endures. The singularity is the ineffable center, the place where opposites meet, where equations diverge, where comprehension fails. To the mystic, this recalls the coincidentia oppositorum, the unity of opposites, where destruction and creation, being and non-being, light and dark converge. The singularity is thus not only a physical prediction, but a spiritual metaphor. It is where words fail and silence begins. In silence, however, lies possibility. Mystics have long taught that silence is the language of the divine. When we stand before what cannot be spoken, we are nearest to truth. Black holes, then, are not empty voids, but cosmic silences, pregnant with possibility, charged with meaning. To contemplate them is to practice a kind of meditation, a surrender of control, an openness to mystery. They humble us, but they also expand us. This may be their greatest gift. In a universe vast beyond measure, filled with galaxies and stars, black holes remind us of proportion. We are small, fragile, temporary. Yet we are also capable of asking questions, of imagining what lies beyond the horizon, of feeling awe before the void. That capacity is itself miraculous. Perhaps the true meaning of black holes is not what they are, but what they awaken in us. Humility, wonder, imagination, and reverence. And so, we return once more to the edge of the abyss. The black hole is before us, silent, invisible, implacable. Around it, matter swirls in luminous agony, spiraling downward into the darkness. From afar, we see only the glow of destruction. From within, perhaps something else stirs, something we cannot name. We stand on the threshold of knowledge and unknowing, with science on one side, myth on the other, and the black hole uniting them in its gravity. Physics tells us that black holes are inevitable consequences of Einstein's equations, verified by observation, confirmed by gravitational waves, imaged by global telescopes. They are as real as the earth beneath our feet. Yet physics also admits its limits. At the singularity, equations fail. At the horizon, paradoxes arise. Information is lost, or hidden, or preserved in ways we do not understand. Reality itself bends and breaks. In this failure, some see defeat, but others see revelation. For when language fails, silence speaks. When equations collapse, imagination awakens. The black hole is thus not the end of science, but its frontier, where humility becomes wisdom. Spiritually, black holes embody the archetypes of death and rebirth, of descent and transformation. They are cosmic underworlds, swallowing light like Hades swallowed Persephone, yet perhaps also giving rise to new worlds. They echo myths of cyclical time, of universes collapsing and re-emerging. They resemble the inner journey of the soul confronting its shadow, plunging into darkness to emerge renewed. They remind us that destruction is never final, that even in silence, creation whispers. Culturally, black holes have become symbols of our age. They appear in films, novels, songs, sermons. They inspire awe, dread, poetry, and prayer. They remind us that the cosmos is not tame, that mystery endures, that wonder is still possible. In a time when many feel the world has been mapped, explained, and commodified, black holes are proof that the unknown is alive, vast, and waiting. And personally, black holes challenge each of us to ask, what are our own horizons of no return? What truths lie hidden within our singularities? What mysteries will we never solve yet must live with? To ponder a black hole is to ponder ourselves. We are, after all, made of stardust, the very matter that black holes consume and recycle. Our fate is bound to theirs. One day, the sun will die, the Milky Way will collide with Andromeda, and the cosmos itself may darken. But still, we will have looked into the abyss, and in looking, we will have found not only terror but meaning. So, let the black hole remain both a scientific fact and a spiritual symbol. Let it be studied with equations and honored with silence. Let it remind us that knowledge is vast but not infinite, that mystery is not weakness but strength, that the unknown is not our enemy but our teacher. For in the end, to face the black hole is to face the deepest truths of existence, that we are finite, that we are curious, that we are capable of awe, and that in awe lies the seed of wisdom. Thus, the question with which we began returns, now transformed. Are black holes merely cosmic phenomena, or are they veils concealing supernatural gateways? The answer, perhaps, is both. They are cosmic and they are symbolic, real and metaphorical, physical and spiritual. They are what they are, and they are what we make of them. The darkness is real, but so is the light we bring to it. In contemplating the black hole, we contemplate the universe and ourselves, joined in mystery, bound in wonder, united in silence. To continue gazing into the darkness is to admit that black holes are not only objects in space, but also questions in disguise. They do not simply exist. They interrogate us. They ask, what is time? What is memory? What is the boundary between being and nothingness? To study a black hole is to study our own ignorance, to face questions that resist final answers. In this sense, black holes are less like destinations and more like mirrors, reflecting our desire for certainty, our fear of annihilation, and our longing for transcendence. Science has made remarkable progress in describing black holes as astrophysical realities. We have observed stars orbiting invisible centers, their motion betraying the presence of unseen mass. We have recorded gravitational waves rippling through space-time as black holes collide, echoing across the universe like the sound of titanic bells. We have mapped accretion disks glowing in X-rays, captured jets blasting out for thousands of light years, and even photographed horizons themselves. These achievements are extraordinary, yet they are also only glimpses. We stand at the edge of knowledge, peering into shadows. For every discovery, new mysteries emerge. One such mystery lies in the relationship between black holes and time. Einstein's relativity teaches us that time is not absolute, but relative to gravity. Near a black hole, time slows. For an astronaut orbiting near the event horizon, hours might pass while years rush by for observers far away. This is not fiction, but measurable reality, confirmed by experiments with satellites and atomic clocks in Earth's gravity. The black hole magnifies this effect to extremes. To fall into a black hole is to fall into time itself, to experience a distortion so profound that it borders on the mystical. Philosophers once spoke of eternity as timelessness. Physicists now speak of time dilation. Different languages perhaps, but pointing to the same abyss. What does it mean that time itself is not fixed? For human beings, time has always been our master. We age, we change, we die. Religions promise eternity, science measures seconds, poets mourn fleeting hours. Yet the black hole reveals that time is pliable, subjective, malleable. It is not the absolute tyrant we once thought. This discovery reshapes not only physics but metaphysics. If time can slow, bend, even stop, what does that mean for destiny, for freedom, for memory? Mystics might say, Eternity is already within reach, if only we perceive it. Physicists might say, eternity is an illusion, but so is finality. Both stand humbled before the black hole, where time dissolves into paradox. Another mystery lies in information. The black hole seems to consume everything, yet physics insists information cannot be destroyed. The clash of these principles creates the black hole information paradox, a debate that has consumed physicists for decades. Hawking, initially, argued that information is lost forever. Others, like Leonard Susskind, countered that information must be preserved, perhaps encoded on the horizon. Out of this conflict arose the holographic principle, the idea that the three-dimensional universe we inhabit might be a projection of information inscribed on a two-dimensional surface. If true, then reality itself is a kind of cosmic hologram, and black holes are the key to understanding it. Pause and consider the spiritual resonance of this idea. Ancient traditions have long described reality as illusion, as shadow, as dream. Plato's cave spoke of prisoners mistaking shadows for truth. Hindu and Buddhist teachings describe the world as Maya, a projection veiling ultimate reality. Now, physics whispers something similar, that what we call space and time may be emergent illusions arising from deeper informational structures. The holographic universe is not so far from the mystical vision that the world is a shadow of the divine. Black holes, by forcing us to grapple with information, become windows into this deeper ontology. Even in their violence, black holes teach us about balance. A star consumed by a black hole is not merely destroyed. Its matter becomes part of the larger cosmos, radiating energy, feeding jets, shaping galaxies. In human terms, this echoes the cycle of life and death. Bodies decay, but matter endures. Memories fade, but influence ripples. The black hole reminds us that nothing is wasted, that even in collapse, contribution persists. Death, then, is not erasure, but transformation. Science explains this as conservation of energy. Spirituality names it continuity of soul, again, two languages for one truth. Artists sense this truth instinctively. They depict black holes not only as threats, but as metaphors for longing, grief, and transcendence. To lose someone to death is to feel their presence pulled beyond an event horizon, unreachable, invisible, yet somehow still exerting gravity on our lives. To fall in love can feel like spiraling into a singularity, helpless yet ecstatic. To face despair can feel like approaching a horizon of no return where hope cannot escape. In these metaphors, black holes cease to be distant objects and become intimate symbols woven into the fabric of our human condition. And yet, for all their intimacy, black holes remain vast, alien, and incomprehensible. This duality is what makes them so powerful. They are at once the most remote and the most personal of mysteries. They belong to galaxies millions of light years away, yet they speak to our fears and hopes here on Earth. They are cosmic, yet psychological, physical, yet spiritual. In this way, they are perfect teachers, reminding us that reality is layered, that truth wears many masks, that wonder is never exhausted. To meditate on black holes is to meditate on extremes. They are extremes of gravity, where curvature becomes infinite. They are extremes of knowledge, where equations collapse. They are extremes of imagination, where science brushes against myth. And perhaps most unsettling of all, they are extremes of perspective. For what one observer sees time slowing, light stretching, another sees differently. Reality near a black hole is not a single narrative, but a multiplicity of viewpoints, each true in its own frame. This relativism is not only physical, but philosophical. It reminds us that truth may not be singular, that perspective matters. In human affairs, we often demand certainty. One right, one wrong, one answer. Yet the black hole shows us a universe where multiple truths coexist, where contradictions are reconciled by context. Perhaps this is why black holes resonate with postmodern thought, with its suspicion of absolutes and its embrace of plurality. The cosmos itself, through these dark objects, whispers that truth is layered, dynamic, relational. Still, the search for ultimate truth persists. Physicists labor to unite general relativity, which governs the cosmic scale, with quantum mechanics, which governs the microscopic. Black holes are the testing grounds of this unification. At the singularity, both theories apply and both fail. A new theory of quantum gravity must arise, and black holes may be the crucibles in which it is forged. String theory, loop quantum gravity, holography, all are contenders. None yet complete the picture. This uncertainty is both frustrating and exhilarating. The greatest minds of our time wrestle with these enigmas, knowing that in solving them, we may glimpse the ultimate architecture of reality. Spiritual seekers, too, wrestle with ultimate truth. They meditate, pray, fast, and dream, searching for a unity that transcends division. Their languages differ: God, Brahman, emptiness, Tao, but their longing is the same. They, too, confront horizons of unknowing, singularities of silence, mysteries that cannot be spoken. It is no accident that some physicists, after long careers in equations, speak of awe and reverence in ways indistinguishable from mystics. Perhaps the boundary between science and spirituality is itself an event horizon, a threshold where language breaks and meaning deepens. The ethical dimension of black holes is less obvious but no less real. If, as some suggest, civilizations could harness black holes for power, what responsibilities would follow? To tap such forces would be to wield the energy of suns to shape galaxies. Could any society be trusted with such mastery? Here, the cautionary tales of myth return. Prometheus stole fire from the gods and was punished. Icarus flew too close to the sun and fell. Power without wisdom leads to ruin. The black hole tempts us with unimaginable power, but also warns us: approach with humility or be consumed. Even without mastery, black holes affect us. They sculpt galaxies, seed star formation, regulate cosmic evolution. Without them, we would not exist. Yet they also threaten, lurking as silent predators. A rogue black hole drifting near our solar system could disrupt orbits, tear apart planets, end life as we know it. The duality is stark. They are both womb and tomb, creator and destroyer, nurturer and executioner. Such duality mirrors our own human nature, capable of compassion and cruelty, of building and destroying. In black holes, we see not only the cosmos, but our reflection. The reflection deepens when we consider language. Scientists describe black holes in terms of metrics, singularities, and event horizons. Mystics describe the void, the abyss, the ineffable. Poets speak of longing, loss, and love. All these are attempts to speak the unspeakable. Perhaps the true lesson of black holes is that some realities exceed language, that silence is sometimes the highest form of truth. To sit in silence before the thought of a black hole may be as profound as any equation. For silence too is knowledge, knowledge of limits, knowledge of awe. Yet silence is not emptiness. In silence, creativity stirs. Many breakthroughs in science and spirituality arise not in noise, but in quiet. The same is true of black holes. Outwardly silent, inwardly they shape the universe. Their silence is not absence, but presence. Not void, but fullness. In contemplating them, we are reminded that silence in our own lives can also be fertile, that stillness can birth insight, that darkness can conceal light. So the black hole becomes a teacher. It teaches humility before mystery. It teaches patience before paradox. It teaches reverence before silence. It teaches that death and life, destruction and creation are intertwined. It teaches that truth is layered, that perspective matters, that knowledge has limits. In this teaching, it unites science and spirituality. For what science calls paradox, spirituality calls mystery. What science calls singularity, spirituality calls the ineffable. What science calls time dilation, spirituality calls eternity. Different words, same abyss. And still, questions remain. What lies beyond the horizon? Does information escape, or is it preserved in holographic code? Are black holes gateways or prisons? Are they endpoints or beginnings? Perhaps the answer is not one or the other, but both. Perhaps the black hole is a koan, a Zen riddle designed not to be solved but to awaken. What is the sound of one hand clapping? What is the face you had before you were born? What lies beyond the horizon of a black hole? The purpose is not the answer, but the transformation that comes from asking. The black hole then is not simply an astrophysical curiosity, but a symbol of the limits that define us. It asks us to confront what cannot be known, and in that confrontation, to recognize our own hunger for meaning. The paradox is sharp. We are creatures of light, yet we are drawn to darkness. We live by knowledge, yet we thrive on mystery. Without mystery, life becomes mechanical. Without knowledge, it becomes chaos. The black hole unites both, inviting us into a deeper balance. Consider the role of black holes in galactic architecture. Observations suggest that nearly every large galaxy has a supermassive black hole at its center. These entities, millions or billions of times the mass of our sun, regulate the formation of stars, control the flow of matter, and even determine the shape of galaxies themselves. In some sense, galaxies are not merely collections of stars, but ecosystems governed by black holes. Remove the black hole, and the galaxy may never form as it does. In this light, black holes are not accidents of nature, but cornerstones of cosmic order. Here lies another paradox, that what seems destructive is in fact constructive. The same gravitational well that devours stars also orchestrates galaxies. The same horizon that traps light also shapes the heavens. This duality is reflected in human stories. The hero descends into darkness only to return stronger. The seed falls into the earth and dies before sprouting. The caterpillar dissolves in its cocoon before becoming a butterfly. In each case, what appears as annihilation is a prelude to transformation. Black holes embody this cosmic archetype on the grandest scale. From a spiritual standpoint, this archetype resonates with the dark night of the soul, described by mystics like St. John of the Cross. In such nights, faith collapses, light vanishes, and the self feels abandoned. Yet through that very darkness, transformation occurs. The soul emerges, renewed, deepened, illuminated. Could black holes be the universe's version of the dark night? Could galaxies themselves pass through these abysses only to emerge more radiant? The analogy is imperfect, but evocative. It reminds us that despair and renewal are woven together, that cosmic truths mirror human journeys. Yet black holes are not only grand, they are intimate. Their principles apply even here on Earth, in our laboratories and our lives. When we split atoms, when we bend light with lenses, when we measure time with clocks, we engage the same laws that govern black holes. The difference is scale, not essence. This intimacy invites humility. The cosmos is vast, but it is also continuous. The laws that shape galaxies shape us. To study black holes is to study ourselves. And ourselves too. We discover horizons, psychological horizons where the conscious mind cannot see the unconscious. Social horizons where cultures meet and fail to understand one another. Moral horizons where choices commit us beyond return. Each horizon echoes the cosmic one, teaching that thresholds are universal. We cannot avoid them, we can only learn to cross wisely. The black hole also challenges our imagination of the future. If they are creators of galaxies, what role might they play in cosmic destiny? Will the universe end in heat, death, with black holes evaporating into silence? Or will they give birth to new universes in endless cycles of collapse and rebirth? These are not idle questions. They shape our sense of meaning. If the universe ends in silence, then perhaps meaning lies in the present moment, in the brief blaze of consciousness. If universes emerge from black holes, then perhaps meaning lies in continuity, in the assurance that nothing is ever final. Science cannot yet answer. But science, by asking, expands the horizon of wonder. Mystics, too, speak of cycles. In Hinduism, kalpas stretch across billions of years, universes created and destroyed in divine rhythm. In Norse myth, Ragnarok ends the world, but from its ashes a new world arises. In Buddhism, the wheel of samsara turns endlessly, lives rising and falling, dissolving and reforming. These myths echo what physics now suspects: that endings may be beginnings, that collapse may be creation. Black holes stand as cosmic witnesses to this eternal rhythm. To meditate on such rhythms is to see life itself differently. Our own struggles, losses, and deaths may not be finalities but transitions. Our grief, like a star torn apart, may seed new growth. Our failures, like matter spiraling inward, may radiate unexpected light. The black hole becomes not only a cosmic teacher but a personal guide. It reminds us that darkness is not only to be feared, but to be entered, endured, and perhaps even embraced. For only through the abyss do we find the other side. Black holes also reshape our understanding of destiny. For centuries, human beings imagined the stars as fixed, eternal guiding lights. Yet in truth, stars are mortal. They are born, they shine, they die. Some collapse into white dwarfs, some explode into supernovae, and some fall inward, becoming black holes. The night sky is not a static dome but a story, and black holes are the punctuation marks of that story: periods, exclamations, sometimes ellipses leading elsewhere. To know this is to feel both small and grand. Small because we are fleeting in the cosmic story. Grand because we can read the story at all. In ancient traditions, destiny was often written in the stars. Astrology claimed that our fates were imprinted in constellations, that the heavens mirrored human life. Modern astronomy dismisses this, yet in a deeper sense, the stars do shape us. We are made of their ashes. Our elements were forged in stellar furnaces, scattered by supernovae, gathered into Earth, breathed into our lungs. If stars give us matter, black holes give us structure. They guide galaxies, and galaxies cradle life. Our destinies may not be written in constellations, but they are certainly woven into the fabric of cosmic evolution. Black holes remind us that we are not separate from the universe's most violent mysteries. We are their children. This truth complicates the spiritual imagination. For many, the universe was once a backdrop to human drama, but black holes suggest that we are not at the center. We are peripheral, fragile, temporary. To some, this is disheartening. To others, it is liberating. If we are not the center, then we are free to see ourselves as participants in a larger whole, a symphony of creation and collapse. The humility this inspires is spiritual as much as scientific. To bow before a black hole, even in imagination, is to acknowledge a reality vaster than ego, deeper than comprehension. And yet, humility need not mean despair. On the contrary, humility can awaken reverence. Just as pilgrims once journeyed to holy mountains or sacred rivers, modern humanity journeys in thought to the horizons of black holes. We cannot yet go there physically, but our minds orbit them. They have become pilgrimage sites of the intellect, shrines of wonder where science and spirituality kneel side by side. The event horizon is our new altar, the singularity, our new mystery, the accretion disk, our cosmic stained glass. To contemplate them is to practice a new kind of devotion, not to dogma, but to mystery itself. This devotion may sound unscientific, but it is not alien to science. Albert Einstein himself often spoke of the cosmic religious feeling that inspired him, a reverence for the rationality and mystery of the universe. Carl Sagan too wrote of the numinous quality of the cosmos. Stephen Hawking spoke of knowing the mind of God through physics, though he did not mean a deity in the traditional sense. The greatest scientists often sound like mystics when they approach the unknown. And perhaps rightly so, for black holes demand not only calculation but awe. Awe is not weakness, it is strength. It keeps us honest. Without awe, we risk arrogance, imagining that our equations capture all. With awe, we remain open, aware of mystery, willing to learn. Black holes cultivate awe because they resist reduction. They are both real and unreal, present and absent, seen and unseen. They remind us that the universe is not our possession but our home, not our machine but our mystery. In myth, awe was the beginning of wisdom. The Greeks called it thaumazein, wonder, the root of philosophy. The Bible calls it fear of the Lord, not terror but reverence. In Buddhism, awe arises before the vastness of emptiness, the interdependence of all things. Black holes rekindle awe in our modern age. They humble the scientist, they inspire the poet, they unsettle the philosopher, they return us to the childlike posture of wonder, and wonder perhaps is the truest spirituality. As we ponder black holes, we also ponder ourselves. We are, in some ways, microcosms of them. We have horizons of perception beyond which we cannot see. We have singularities of trauma or love, points where our lives bend irrevocably. We have shadows that conceal yet also define us. Perhaps this is why black holes resonate so deeply. They are not only out there but in here. They are both cosmic and personal, mirrors of the vast and the intimate. To study them is to study the fabric of existence and the fabric of the soul. Yet for all the awe and reverence black holes inspire, they also provoke fear. Fear of annihilation, fear of silence, fear of the unknown. In this sense, they resemble death more than any other phenomenon we know. Death, too, is a horizon we cannot cross and report back from. Death, too, swallows information, swallowing memories and voices into silence. Death, too, is inevitable, universal, humbling. And just as black holes may conceal mysteries beyond physics, death may conceal mysteries beyond biology. The parallels are profound. To meditate on black holes is inevitably to meditate on mortality. But fear is not the only response. Across traditions, death has also been a doorway. Egyptians imagined the duat, a perilous realm of judgment and renewal. Christians speak of resurrection, Buddhists of rebirth, Hindus of reincarnation. Death is an ending, yes, but also a passage. Might black holes be similar? Might their horizons mark not a wall but a gate? Science cannot yet say. But imagination dares to hope, and hope matters. For without hope, fear consumes us. Black holes, paradoxically, can become symbols of hope if we learn to see them differently, not as devourers, but as thresholds. Not as voids, but as wombs. Not as finalities, but as mysteries. This revisioning does not deny their danger, it honors it. But it also affirms that even in danger, meaning can be found. The transformation of fear into awe, of despair into hope, is itself a spiritual practice. Mystics have long urged seekers to enter darkness willingly, to embrace the void, to trust what lies beyond sight. Black holes embody this teaching on a cosmic scale. They invite us to confront fear, to surrender control, to step into the unknown. In doing so, they teach courage. And courage too is a form of wisdom. What then do black holes mean for the future of humanity? Perhaps more than we realize. As our species reaches further into space, as we dream of interstellar travel, black holes may one day become landmarks, navigational beacons, even sources of energy. Science fiction imagines them as gateways through which civilizations travel. Perhaps reality will echo fiction, or perhaps we will never reach them physically, only mentally. Either way, they will shape our imagination of the future. Already, they shape our sense of scale. To know that millions of black holes wander our galaxy, silent and invisible, is to know we live among giants. To know that our galaxy's heart is a supermassive black hole is to know we orbit mystery. To know that black holes may outlive all stars, evaporating only when the universe is cold and dark, is to know that mystery endures longer than light. Such knowledge is sobering, yet also exhilarating. It reminds us that we are part of a drama vast beyond measure, and that our brief lives, though small, are not meaningless. For meaning does not lie in duration or scale. Meaning lies in wonder. And wonder is precisely what black holes awaken. When we gaze into their darkness, we are reminded of our limits, but also of our longing. We are reminded that the universe is not exhausted by equations, that silence is as profound as speech, that mystery is as real as knowledge. We are reminded that to be human is to ask, to imagine, to revere. Um, and so the black hole becomes not only an astrophysical object, not only a spiritual archetype, but a companion. It walks with us in our questions, in our fears, in our hopes. It reflects our shadows. It teaches our humility. It deepens our reverence. It is both monster and mentor, both abyss and altar. To know it is to know the paradox at the heart of existence, that darkness and light, fear and hope, science and spirit are never far apart. Thus ends the second movement of our long meditation. The black hole remains before us, as it always will, silent, implacable, mysterious. We have circled it with science, approached it with myth, contemplated it with philosophy, yet it remains unsolved, unresolved, unspoken, and that is its gift. For if the black hole could be explained fully, it would cease to inspire. Its power lies in its mystery, and its mystery lies in its silence. We are left once again with the question, what lies beyond the horizon? And once again, the answer is not an answer, but an invitation to wonder, to revere, to imagine. To stand once more before the abyss is to realize that black holes are not only mysteries of physics, but also mirrors of the human spirit. We circle back again and again because we sense that in them lies something essential, not only about the universe, but about ourselves. They are reminders that reality is larger than our grasp, and that knowledge, no matter how vast, is always incomplete. The closer we look, the more they dissolve the boundaries we once thought firm. Consider energy. Einstein taught us that energy and mass are interchangeable, bound by the simple elegance of E equals mc squared. Black holes test this principle in ways almost unimaginable. As matter falls inward, energy is released with ferocious intensity, sometimes outshining entire galaxies. The paradox is clear. Even as they swallow, they radiate. Even as they silence, they roar. They are mouths of darkness, yet they blaze with light. This paradox is not foreign to spiritual traditions. Many mystics describe the divine as both hidden and revealed, absent and present, silent and speaking. The God who dwells in darkness also appears as unapproachable light. The Buddha, silent in meditation, radiates compassion into the world. The Tao is nameless, yet it gives birth to all names. Black holes echo this paradox. Dark centers surrounded by radiant halos, invisible yet revealed through their influence. They are scientific koans, riddles that defy logic yet compel contemplation. Koans are not solved by reason alone, but by transformation of perception. Perhaps black holes demand the same. We may never solve them in the sense of total comprehension, but we may be changed by contemplating them. Already, they have forced science to reimagine space, time, and information. Already, they have forced spirituality to confront the vastness of mystery. Already, they have inspired art, poetry, and philosophy. Their power lies not only in what they are, but in what they provoke. And what they provoke most deeply is humility. Humanity is a species prone to hubris. We split the atom, and we imagined we had mastered nature. We walked on the moon, and we imagined ourselves conquerors of space. Yet black holes remind us that mastery is an illusion. Here is something we cannot control, cannot reach, cannot even see directly. Here is a silence deeper than our words, a power greater than our machines, a mystery larger than our imaginations. To face a black hole is to be humbled. And humility, paradoxically, is what allows true knowledge to grow. Humility does not mean paralysis. It means respect. It means knowing the difference between what can be measured and what must be revered. In ancient times, sacred spaces were marked by thresholds, temples, mountains, rivers. To cross them was to step into mystery. Black holes are the modern sacred spaces. They mark thresholds in the cosmos where knowledge falters and wonder deepens. To study them is a kind of pilgrimage, not of the body, but of the mind. In this pilgrimage, science and spirituality walk side by side. The scientist brings equations, telescopes, detectors. The mystic brings symbols, silence, prayer. Both peer into the same darkness and both are transformed. Neither has the final word, for the final word does not exist. The horizon remains impenetrable, yet the journey toward it enriches both. Perhaps this is the true purpose of black holes, not to be solved, but to be contemplated, not to yield answers, but to awaken awe. And awe, once awakened, changes everything. It changes how we see ourselves, our place in the cosmos, our relationships with each other. If we are small before the abyss, then we are also equally small, equally fragile, equally capable of wonder. Black holes remind us that the divisions we create, nations, classes, creeds, are insignificant against the scale of the cosmos. They invite us to humility, not only before mystery, but before one another. This is why black holes are not only scientific curiosities, but cultural symbols. They appear in novels, films, songs, and sermons because they speak to something universal. They remind us of death, but also of possibility. They remind us of danger, but also of creation. They remind us of ignorance, but also of wonder. In their darkness, we see both fear and hope, both ending and beginning. Few symbols are so rich, so polyvalent, so inexhaustible. Few phenomena unite science and spirit so seamlessly. To deepen our contemplation of black holes is to realize that they are not isolated curiosities, but part of the fabric of cosmic history. They are not rare intrusions into the universe, but essential players in its grand narrative. From the smallest stellar mass black holes to the titanic engines at galactic centers, they shape the evolution of matter, light, and even time itself. Without them, the cosmos would be unrecognizable. With them, it becomes both terrifying and magnificent. Astrophysics has shown us that galaxies grow around their central black holes. The mass of a galaxy's bulge is mysteriously linked to the mass of its central black hole, as though the two grow together in symbiosis. This is no accident. The jets and winds powered by black holes regulate star formation, preventing galaxies from collapsing into chaos or swelling without order. In this sense, black holes are gardeners of the cosmos, pruning and guiding growth. It is a paradox almost divine. The destroyers are also sustainers. Spiritual imagination cannot help but notice the resonance. Many traditions depict the divine as both wrathful and merciful, both destroyer and creator. Shiva dances both destruction and renewal. The god of the Hebrew prophets wounds and heals. The yin-yang symbol embodies the union of opposites. Black holes embody this union in physical form. They are cosmic yin-yang, circles of darkness surrounded by fire, annihilating yet nurturing, consuming yet shaping. This duality challenges us to expand our categories. Too often we divide reality into binaries: life versus death, good versus evil, matter versus spirit. Black holes blur such boundaries. They reveal that death feeds life, that destruction enables creation, that absence radiates presence. They force us to hold paradox, to live with contradiction, to accept that truth may be larger than our logic. This is not easy, but it is necessary. And it is liberating. It is liberating because it frees us from the tyranny of certainty. In a world obsessed with control and mastery, black holes remind us that not everything can be grasped. They humble our intellect, but they also open our hearts. For when we release the demand for certainty, we become available to wonder. And wonder is the seed of both science and spirituality. Without wonder, equations are dry and rituals are empty. With wonder, equations become poetry and rituals become revelation. Black holes rekindle wonder by confronting us with the unfathomable. The unfathomable has always been the dwelling place of the sacred. Ancient temples were built with dark inner chambers where light barely penetrated, teaching worshippers to enter mystery. Black holes are the universe's inner chambers. They are temples of darkness where The sacred hides in silence. We cannot enter them physically, but we can enter them imaginatively. And in doing so, we enter a posture of reverence. Reverence is not fear alone. It is awe, humility, gratitude. To revere a black hole is not to worship it, but to acknowledge its power, its mystery, its gift. For even in their silence, black holes give. They give structure to galaxies, they give inspiration to poets, they give humility to scientists, they give wonder to humanity. They are not demons to be feared, but teachers to be honored. And yet, they remain dangerous. Let us not romanticize them entirely. To approach too closely is death. To cross the horizon is annihilation. To fall inward is to lose all return. Their danger is real, and it commands respect. But respect does not exclude reverence. The sailor respects the sea because it can drown him, but he also reveres it because it sustains him. The pilgrim respects the mountain because it can kill him, but he reveres it because it reveals the divine. So too with black holes. Danger and reverence intertwine. Perhaps this intertwining is their deepest lesson. For life itself is dangerous. Love risks heartbreak, courage risks failure, birth risks death. Yet, without danger, there is no growth, no meaning, no transformation. Black holes remind us that danger and meaning are inseparable. Their horizons are thresholds not only of physics but of existence. To live is to approach horizons, to risk crossing them, to surrender to mystery. Black holes, in their silence, invite us to such surrender. To contemplate black holes further is to contemplate the very architecture of reality. They reveal that space is not empty, time is not absolute, matter is not solid. They reveal that what we thought stable is fragile, what we thought permanent is transient, what we thought knowable is cloaked in paradox. The black hole is thus not only an object in space, it is a revelation of the cosmos itself. When Einstein first wrote down his equations of general relativity, he could not have foreseen their most radical offspring. He sought elegance, harmony, beauty, yet hidden in the mathematics was a monster, a singularity where curvature diverges to infinity. At first, he resisted. He thought nature would forbid such extremes. But nature is not bound by our preferences. The universe does not avoid strangeness. It embraces it. And black holes are the proof. This proof has grown stronger with every passing decade. In 2015, when the LIGO detectors first heard the faint chirp of gravitational waves, humanity listened to the death cries of two black holes merging. That signal traveled over 1 billion years to reach us, a ripple in the very fabric of space-time. It was as though the cosmos whispered across eons, "The abyss is real." That whisper shook science, but it also stirred philosophy. For if we can listen to black holes collide, what else might we hear, if only we attune ourselves? Mystics have long taught that silence is not absence but presence. To listen deeply is to hear the hidden. In the hum of gravitational waves, some heard more than physics. They heard the music of the spheres reborn, a cosmic hymn sung not by stars but by their graves, and in that hymn, awe was renewed. Yet, awe is fragile. In the modern world, mystery is often dismissed as ignorance to be eliminated. But mystery is not mere ignorance. It is the horizon of meaning, the invitation to wonder. Black holes teach us that mystery is enduring, not temporary. Even as science advances, the abyss remains, and perhaps that is good, for without mystery, curiosity dies. Without curiosity, knowledge stagnates. Without knowledge, wonder fades. The abyss ensures that wonder endures. It endures because black holes defy closure. Every solution breeds a paradox. Every answer births new questions. Hawking radiation reveals evaporation, but raises the information paradox. The holographic principle explains storage, but raises questions of reality itself. Wormholes hint at passage, but raise questions of causality. Black holes are not puzzles to be solved once, but fountains of questions unending. They are inexhaustible mysteries, teachers of endless inquiry. Such inquiry is not only intellectual but existential. To ask what lies beyond the horizon is to ask what lies beyond death. To ask whether information is lost is to ask whether memory, identity, soul endure. To ask whether black holes spawn universes is to ask whether our own birth was the death of another. Science does not intend these echoes, yet they arise inevitably. The language of physics becomes the language of meaning, and perhaps this is no accident. Perhaps the cosmos itself is structured so that inquiry into matter awakens inquiry into spirit. In this awakening, black holes are catalysts. They catalyze humility, awe, wonder, reverence, courage. They catalyze art, poetry, film, philosophy. They catalyze prayer, meditation, silence. They catalyze the recognition that we are small but not meaningless, finite but capable of infinity in thought. They catalyze the fusion of science and spirituality, not by erasing their differences, but by revealing their shared roots in wonder. And wonder, finally, is what unites us. No matter our culture, creed, or century, all who gaze at the night sky feel wonder. All who contemplate the abyss feel awe. All who sense their mortality feel fear and hope. Black holes, by concentrating mystery into form, unite us in this common posture. They remind us that we are one species, one community, one fragile light before infinite darkness. They remind us that the true response to mystery is not conquest but communion. If black holes are inexhaustible mysteries, then to dwell on them is to dwell on the infinite. They are wells of paradox, drawing the mind downward into depths it cannot measure. Yet, paradox is not futility, paradox is invitation. In paradox, we are stretched, unsettled, expanded. Black holes expand us by collapsing everything else. Think of the singularity. Physics says it is infinite density, infinite curvature, infinite energy contained in no space. Such infinities cannot exist in our ordinary understanding, and so we call them breakdowns, but perhaps they are revelations. Mystics too have spoken of infinity not as a number, but as a presence, a fullness beyond comprehension. In Kabbalah, Ein Sof is the infinite from which all creation flows. In Islamic thought, Allah is without limit, boundless, beyond. In Christianity, the infinite love of God exceeds all reason. Black holes place infinity before us in physical form. They demand that we contemplate the unthinkable, that we kneel before infinity not only in temples but in telescopes. And what of the event horizon, that perfect circle of no return? It is geometry transfigured into theology, a line that cannot be crossed yet always beckons, a boundary absolute yet invisible. It is the cosmic sacrament of limit, reminding us that not everything can be reclaimed, not everything can be undone. In human life too, we face horizons. The spoken word that cannot be recalled, the choice that cannot be reversed, the death that cannot be postponed. Horizons are woven into existence. Black holes simply show us the archetype written in space-time itself. The accretion disk, glowing with fire as matter spirals inward, is another symbol. It is passion at the edge of silence, light born of falling, brilliance born of doom. Many mystics describe the approach to the divine as burning, consuming, annihilating. To draw near to God is to be undone. To draw near to the black hole is to be incinerated. Yet, in both cases, there is radiance. Doom is luminous. Annihilation glows. Even in destruction, beauty emerges. The accretion disk is cosmic testimony that falling can be glorious, that surrender can blaze with light. And then there are the jets, those colossal streams of energy erupting from black holes. Out of silence comes proclamation. Out of void comes voice. Out of death comes creation. Jet seed galaxies sculpt clusters, spread matter across millions of light years. They are the paradox embodied. The devourer feeds, the silence speaks, the darkness creates. Spiritually, they resemble prophets' voices erupting from mystery, declaring truths no one expected. They remind us that even the abyss is not mute. Taken together, the singularity, the horizon, the disk, the jets, they are a cosmic liturgy, a ritual of destruction and creation, silence and sound, void and fire. To observe them is to participate in that liturgy, whether through telescope or meditation. We may not understand it fully, but we are changed by witnessing it. And perhaps that is the point. Perhaps black holes are not problems to be solved, but sacraments to be received. They are mysteries, not because we have failed to explain them, but because they are inexhaustible by nature. Explanation clarifies, but mystery deepens. And we need both. Without explanation, we are lost. Without mystery, we are shallow. Black holes give us both equations to ponder and silences to revere. In this way, black holes point us toward balance. They remind us that science without spirit becomes arrogant, and spirit without science becomes unmoored. Science measures, spirit interprets. Science explains, spirit reveres. Together, they give us wisdom. Alone, they falter. Black holes, by uniting paradox, teach us to unite disciplines. They whisper that truth is not divided, that reality is one, that wonder is the bridge. Yet even as black holes call us to balance, they confront us with uncertainty. For all that we know, much remains hidden. Do singularities truly exist, or will quantum gravity erase them? Do horizons trap information forever, or does it leak back into the universe in some subtle code? Are black holes gateways to other realms, or simply prisons of silence? Each question remains unanswered, and perhaps always will. But unanswered questions are not failures. They are invitations. They are the cosmos whispering, "Come further, wonder more." In this sense, black holes resemble the riddles of mythology. The Sphinx asked riddles not to be cruel, but to awaken insight. Zen masters pose koans not to be solved, but to transform perception. Black holes pose paradoxes of time, information, and reality, not to frustrate us, but to stretch us. They invite us into a deeper way of knowing, where intellect and imagination, science and spirit converge. They are cosmic teachers, and their curriculum is mystery. Mystery, however, is not chaos. Mystery has structure, pattern, rhythm. Black holes too have rhythm. Stars orbit them, disks swirl around them, jets pulse from them, waves ripple outward. They are not random but ordered, not anarchic but musical. The cosmos, through black holes, sings a strange song, a song of collapse and creation, silence and sound, absence and presence. To listen is to hear not only physics, but poetry. And poetry may be the truest response. Equations can describe, poetry can evoke. Science can measure, but poetry can reveal meaning. When we speak of black holes as cosmic wombs, as sacred thresholds, as mirrors of mortality, we are not abandoning science, but complementing it. For reality is both measurable and meaningful. To honor both dimensions is wisdom. Black holes, by demanding both, guide us toward that wisdom. Consider again the image captured by the Event Horizon Telescope, the glowing ring, the dark center. Scientists analyzed it for mass, spin, orientation. The public gazed at it in silence, awe, reverence. Both responses were valid. Both revealed truth. The scientist's truth was quantitative, the public's truth was qualitative. But truth is not diminished by multiplicity, it is enriched. The black hole is not only mass and spin, it is also symbol and mystery. And what of us, small creatures orbiting a small star in a small galaxy? Why should we care about these titans of space-time? Because they remind us of proportion, because they awaken awe, because they teach humility, because they reveal paradox, because they inspire wonder, because they mirror death, because they echo hope, because they show us that the universe is larger than our certainties, deeper than our fears, more mysterious than our dreams. To contemplate black holes is to become more human, not less. So let us continue to gaze. Let us study with telescopes, calculate with equations, imagine with poetry, revere with silence. Let us cross disciplines as black holes cross categories. Let us allow mystery to humble us, paradox to teach us, wonder to sustain us. For black holes are not only out there, they are within us, around us, part of us. And in their darkness, we find light. Thus ends the third movement of our meditation. We have traced black holes through galaxies and myths, through equations and symbols, through fear and hope. We have found them to be destroyers and creators, silences and songs, abysses and teachers. They remain unsolved, and that is their gift. They remain mysterious, and that is their meaning. They remain dark, and that is their light. To enter the fourth stage of our meditation on black holes is to recognize how they bind together not only galaxies but also human thought across centuries. The more we dwell upon them, the more we see that they are crossroads where science meets spirit, where destruction meets creation, where silence meets song. They are not accidents of physics, but archetypes of existence written into the fabric of the cosmos. What does it mean for something to be archetypal? It means it resonates beyond its own domain. Fire warms our homes but also burns our cities. It is an element but also a symbol of passion, purification, destruction, renewal. Water quenches thirst but also floods. It is a chemical but also a symbol of life, cleansing, transformation. Black holes too are archetypal. They are gravitational phenomena, yes, but also symbols of death, rebirth, silence, infinity. To speak of them only as physics is to miss half their meaning. To speak of them only as spirit is to miss half their reality. To honor them fully, we must hold both. Science continues to prove their secrets. New telescopes promise sharper images, new detectors promise richer gravitational wave signals, new theories promise deeper understanding. Each discovery brings triumph, but also humility. For each discovery widens the horizon of ignorance. The more we learn, the more we realize how much remains unknown. This is not discouraging, but exhilarating. Mystery is not diminished by knowledge, it is expanded. The black hole is proof. Spirituality too continues to probe their meaning. Preachers invoke them as metaphors of sin, mystics as metaphors of silence, poets as metaphors of longing. Artists paint them as cosmic eyes, musicians compose symphonies of their gravity. They have entered our collective imagination as few scientific discoveries ever do. When humanity thinks of the abyss, it now thinks of black holes. When it thinks of ultimate mystery, it now sees event horizons. The language of astrophysics has become the language of culture. And culture, in turn, shapes science. For scientists are not machines, but people moved by wonder, guided by metaphors, inspired by dreams. Who can say how many young physicists chose their path because they gazed at a picture of a black hole, or read a novel about cosmic abysses, or dreamed of falling into silence? Imagination feeds inquiry, and inquiry feeds imagination. The cycle continues, and black holes are at its heart. This cycle echoes another, the cycle of creation and destruction in which black holes participate. They consume stars but shape galaxies. They swallow matter but launch jets. They end lives but sustain structures. They are thresholds, not terminations. So too is our thought. We destroy old ideas to create new ones. We swallow assumptions to birth insights. We cross horizons of ignorance to enter new realms of understanding. Black holes remind us that thought itself is gravitational, collapsing and expanding, consuming and creating. They are metaphors not only for existence but for knowledge. And knowledge, like matter, can be overwhelming. Too much gravity crushes, too much information drowns. The challenge is balance. Black holes teach us balance by extremity. They show us what happens when gravity dominates, when collapse wins. Yet even then, balance emerges, jets erupt, galaxies form, universes may be born. Even in collapse, there is creativity. Even in silence, there is song. Even in death, there is birth. This rhythm is not only cosmic but human. Our lives too fall inward, collapse, burn, and yet from those very collapses, new selves emerge. The black hole is our cosmic mirror. To journey further into the mystery of black holes is to confront not only the collapse of matter, but the collapse of categories. They refuse to fit neatly into any box. They are both objects and processes, both places and paradoxes. They are invisible, yet they define the visible. They are silent, yet they roar across billions of light years through gravitational waves. They consume, yet they give. Every description dissolves into contradiction, and in contradiction, we are invited into deeper reflection. Consider again the paradox of time. Near a black hole, time stretches, bends, slows. To an outside observer, An infalling astronaut never crosses the horizon, but seems frozen, fading, dissolving into redshift. To the astronaut, however, the plunge is swift, inevitable, unstoppable, two perspectives, equally true, equally irreconcilable. Which is reality? Perhaps both. Perhaps reality itself is perspectival, perhaps truth is not a single thread but a tapestry of vantage points. Black holes whisper this lesson. That truth is plural, not singular, layered, not flat. This whisper challenges our daily lives. Too often we demand one truth, one certainty, one story, but black holes remind us that multiplicity is real. Just as two observers see different yet valid truths at the horizon, so two people may hold different yet valid experiences of the same event. The cosmos itself affirms the legitimacy of perspective. Science here becomes philosophy, physics becomes ethics. The black hole teaches compassion because it teaches us to honor multiple truths. And what of space itself? Black holes twist it into unimaginable forms. Wormholes, bridges through space-time, are predicted by equations, though unproven. If they exist, they may link distant places or even different universes. Science fiction imagines travelers plunging through black holes into new realms, and while reality may be harsher, the possibility is tantalizing. Spiritually, the wormhole resonates with ancient imagery of passage, tunnels of light seen in near-death experiences, bridges between worlds described in myth, gates to heavens or underworlds. The human soul has always imagined passage through darkness to light. Wormholes are the cosmos's version of that hope. Even if wormholes remain speculative, their symbolism is real. They symbolize hope that no horizon is final, no abyss absolute. They suggest that what seems like an ending may be a beginning, that death may be transition, that collapse may be doorway. Whether or not physics confirms them, the wormhole is already true in imagination, and imagination has its own power. For imagination shapes how we live, how we hope, how we face the unknown. Yet black holes do not only invite hope, they demand realism. They are not gentle. Their tidal forces stretch and crush. Their horizons forbid return. Their centers, whatever lies there, erase what enters. Hope without realism becomes fantasy. Realism without hope becomes despair. Black holes call us to both. They say, do not romanticize me, but do not fear me. Respect me. Wonder at me. Learn from me. They embody the balance of truth, hard, merciless, beautiful, profound. And beauty, yes, is part of their truth. For all their danger, black holes are beautiful. The arcs of light around them are exquisite, bending into rings, halos, crescents. The mathematics that describes them is elegant, precise, dazzling. The very idea of them is sublime. Beauty, philosophers have said, is the splendor of truth. Black holes show us truth in terrifying beauty, beauty in terrifying truth. To encounter them is to encounter the sublime, that fusion of awe and terror, wonder and dread. It is a spiritual experience as much as a scientific one. If beauty and terror coexist in black holes, then so too do silence and revelation. On the one hand, nothing escapes the event horizon. On the other hand, black holes reveal themselves in the most dramatic ways through their influence on nearby stars, through their blazing accretion disks, through the ripples of their mergers echoing across the universe. They are simultaneously the most hidden and the most announced of objects. The paradox is profound. The more silent they are at their center, the louder they speak at their edges. Edges matter. The horizon is not merely a boundary, it is a stage. Everything we know about black holes comes from what happens near their edges. This is not unlike human experience. We cannot see into another person's soul directly. We infer it from edges, words spoken, actions taken, expressions shown. We cannot see death itself. We witness only its edges. Illness, aging, silence. We cannot see the divine essence. We perceive only its edges, manifestations, symbols, glimpses. Black holes remind us that edges are revelations. The unseen center is mirrored by the visible rim. Mystery is known through boundary. And boundaries too are sacred. In myth, thresholds are places of power, doorways, crossroads, gates. The black hole is a cosmic threshold. To approach it is to approach power. To cross it is to cross into the absolute. This is why black holes fascinate not only scientists but also mystics, artists, storytellers. They are thresholds in the deepest sense between knowledge and ignorance, between being and non-being, between the visible and the invisible. Yet, thresholds are dangerous. In every initiation rite, the threshold is guarded by riddles, by monsters, by trials. Black holes are guarded by tidal forces and horizons. They cannot be crossed without transformation. In human life too, thresholds transform us. Marriage, birth, death, vocation, all are thresholds. We cannot recross. To live fully is to face thresholds with courage, to allow transformation, to surrender control. The black hole is the cosmos's reminder that thresholds are inevitable and transformation unavoidable. But if thresholds are dangerous, they are also fruitful. Beyond them lies growth. The traveler who dares to cross emerges changed, wiser, deeper. The galaxy that forms around its black hole is richer, more structured. The universe that may emerge from a black hole's interior, if such theories prove true, would be a fresh creation. The abyss is not only an end, it is a beginning. And so black holes invite us to see our own thresholds, not as losses, but as births. They invite us to embrace transformation, even when it feels like annihilation. The annihilation they embody is real. Matter falling inward is torn apart, erased from the visible universe. Yet annihilation is not unique to black holes. Stars die, but their ashes form planets. Species vanish, but their extinction opens space for others. Selves dissolve, but their dissolution allows new selves to emerge. Death, in all its forms, is woven into the fabric of life. Black holes are simply the most extreme reminders of this truth. They are cosmic preachers of mortality, declaring across light years that nothing lasts forever and that this impermanence is not a flaw but a rhythm. And rhythm itself is sacred. Day follows night, seasons turn, hearts beat, breaths flow. Life is rhythm, cosmos is rhythm, existence is rhythm. Black holes, in their own way, participate in rhythm. They consume, they blaze, they merge, they evaporate. Their lifespans stretch across unimaginable eons, but even they are finite. They, too, will one day fade into silence. The rhythm of impermanence spares nothing, not even the abyss. In this, black holes become not exceptions but examples. They teach us that impermanence is universal, that even the most powerful must yield, that even silence is temporary. In the end, after all the theories, after all the equations, after all the metaphors and myths, the black hole remains silent. We have circled it with words, traced it with mathematics, adorned it with symbols, but at its center there is only darkness. That silence is its final gift, for in silence meaning is born. Perhaps black holes are not here to be solved but to be lived with. Perhaps their presence in the universe is a reminder that not everything must be conquered, not every question answered, not every abyss bridged. Mystery itself has value. It humbles us, nourishes us, keeps us searching. Without mystery, there would be no wonder. Without wonder, no science. Without science, no discovery. Without discovery, no growth. Black holes ensure that the cycle continues. They are thresholds, yes, but thresholds to what? We cannot say. To destruction, to creation, to another universe, to nothing at all? The horizon does not answer. And maybe that is the point. The horizon does not exist to reassure us. It exists to call us onward. It exists to keep us curious, to remind us that there is always more than we know. And so we are left with the same question with which we began. Are black holes merely cosmic phenomena, or are they veils concealing supernatural gateways? The question remains unanswered, but it is transformed. For now, we see that black holes are both and neither. They are facts of physics and symbols of spirit, destroyers of matter and creators of meaning, silences of the cosmos and voices of the soul. They are what they are, and they are what we make of them. The final truth may be this: black holes do not only exist in the distant galaxies, they exist in us, in our shadows, in our losses, in our fears, in our hopes. We each carry horizons of no return, singularities of trauma and love, accretion, disks of passion, jets of creativity. To live is to orbit mystery, to die is to cross the horizon. And perhaps, just perhaps, to be reborn is to emerge on the other side. Thus, the black hole is not the end of the story, but the invitation to continue it. It is not silence without meaning, but silence waiting for meaning. It is not darkness without light, but darkness that teaches us to see light differently. One day, our universe may grow cold. Stars will fade, galaxies will drift apart, black holes will evaporate into whispers of radiation, and still the question will remain. For questions do not die. They live in the asking, in the wondering, in the reaching beyond ourselves. As long as beings gaze into the night sky, there will be questions. And as long as there are questions, there will be wonder. So let us leave the black hole where it belongs, not as an answer, but as an opening. Not as a conclusion, but as a beginning. Not as a tombstone, but as a doorway. Let us leave it in silence, knowing that silence is not the absence of truth, but the promise of more. And when we look again into the darkness, let us not only fear, let us also hope, let us not only tremble, let us also wonder, let us not only ask what is beyond. Let us also ask what is within, for the black hole in the end is both.